She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy gazpacho.
Forbes could take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal died?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the toppies. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm just not even gonna comment on that. Welcome back to Footy with the boys. It's the U.S. men's national team corner here. We're talking all things U.S. national team, all the players, how their weekend went, and we're running through it now. And we start with no delay on Josh Sargent for North City.
Bad omen.
He is as red hot as his hair would suggest. He has scored 10 goals in 13 games this season. If he had not gotten injured at the start of this season, injured while scoring a goal, I will say, he would be certainly in the Golden Boot conversation, but he gets a brace against none other than Ethan Horvath and Cardiff here. Listen, Balogun has not been in good form. Another not great showing for Monaco. Pepe, we'll get into that a little bit later, finally got his first start. Is Josh Sargent a person to look out for on the Copa America roster here? Should he be looked at above Pepe or above Balogun, Mike?
Wait, Nick Flex, what's his name real quick?
Josh Sargent.
Josh
Okay.
Sargent. Yeah, dude. Fuck that, dude. He's got more caps than both of them. So he should still be in the mix. He has a World Cup on his belt, so he should definitely be in the mix, deserving informed strikers. That is a very important position to be in form. You can't teach goal scoring. So, yeah, if he keeps his form up and Balogun continues to stink, he should be above him in the pecking order. Definitely.
Yeah. I think you have to go off for him. He was the best youth prospect at a time. Mostly injury has kept him away, but he has proven just put away a lot of goals. Werder Bremen, he was played at wing. Norwich at the start, he was played at wing. When he's played at striker, he has been absolutely clinical. But what we said was Pepe also got his first start in the Eredivisie this weekend for PSV. It was technically as a left winger. He was playing as a second striker for them. Missed what I thought was a few pretty decent chances. PSV always will have a lot of good chances for their strikers. But Mike, is this a missed opportunity by Pepe for not getting a goal on this game? Malik Tillman does get an assist.
I put this in the maybe category. He had chances, but it's not a great position for him to play. I think he needs to be the man up top, the singular man up top, which Luke de Jong is going to occupy as long as he's in the team, because he's proven and he's Dutch, so he gets that bonus. So not really a missed opportunity. He's just not going to start again at the left wing.
Yeah, I mean, left wing is a bit of a stretch. He was playing pretty centrally, and quite honestly, Irving Lozano was down the right wing, and Serginho Dest was playing as a fucking left winger. There is no defense in Serginho Dest when he sees a man down on his side, especially when Heracles went down to 10 men. He was there only for attacking, zero defensive intent in his game. But we go to a guy that certainly has a lot of intent in just about everything he does and a lot of willingness to do anything. It is Brendan Aronson, who has been on quite the terrible trip over to Union Berlin, but gets the winner for Union Berlin with his first goal this weekend versus Hoffenheim, a pretty decent team in the Bundesliga. Mike, Brendan Aronson has shown a lot of talent, I think, in certain moments versus Germany. He had some talented dribbling moments. Versus Costa Rica, he's had some talented dribbling moments, but he hasn't been able to put it together consistently. Is this a start of what you think is maybe Brendan Aronson showing a continuous run of form with a goal here to give some confidence?
Can't go that far. I like Brendan Aronson. I like some of the aspects of his game, especially since he's a workhorse and he just keeps on running. But the thing he lacks mostly is the final ball and the shot on goal, having numbers, having tangible assists and goals. This is a good goal. It was, but it wasn't overly convincing because he did take a long touch, a little bit of a pause before his finish. It wasn't 1-2 bang in the goal. That's something he needs to add to his game to be more prolific and have a bigger impact on games, especially playing in one of those attacking three positions. I hope it parlays into something better for him, but I need to see more before I make that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's certainly facing some competition with Kevin Paredes getting constant starts in the Bundesliga for Wolfsburg, with Haji Wright scoring brace after brace in the championship with Coventry. And he may not be competing with a Taylor Booth anymore. We've talked about in previous episodes how he scored a hat trick and a brace back to back, and now unfortunately has an injury. He was brought out of their previous game. He was on crutches on the sideline. That's just the story of the U.S. men's national team at this point. Anybody that's playing great is getting injured. Certainly, that is the case of one Gio Reyna. He has been having constant injuries, but now it is not the injuries that plague him, but rather the manager's choices. He is an unused sub for Nottingham Forest. This is now his third game, 2 sub appearances, 1 unused substitute. Mike, are the alarm bells ringing?
Yes, man. They are definitely ringing. I said it on our last podcast. I didn't think there was a chance he would start, but I didn't go as far to say he went feature, and I really didn't expect it. What I see in this Nottingham situation, unfortunately, is the only time I see him featuring is if Nottingham is down in the game, not able to score goals, they're going to resort to him as another option, or in the very, very unlikely situation, they're up a ton of goals, he might get subbed on. It's not a great fit. It's not looking beautiful. I think Nick has something to add on this. Am I spot on, or is there a glimmer of hope?
Listen, I set the over under at 7.5. You both said over. I didn't know which way to go. If you hammered the under, you are one rich man. Because
This is the
Gio
start.
Reyna's starts are, I mean, 3 games in, a player of his caliber, Nuno was supposedly begging for this player to come in to what? Sit on the bench or play for 15 minutes? I mean, he's doing this exact same thing he was saying at Dortmund. This is fucking ridiculous. I don't know. A lot of questions have to be asked. A lot about his team. A lot, maybe about Gio. Is there something with the character that we're not seeing that's leading to him not playing? I don't know. There's a lot. I don't mean to insinuate anything, but there are a lot of questions going through my head. But the biggest one is how in the world is a man with this talent not getting minutes at a relegation fighting side? It is ridiculous. To be unfeatured is a joke. It worries me quite a bit, if I'm being honest.
Yep. I think the biggest issue is that, I mean, Hudson Odoi and Alanga have ran into some bit of form, which they didn't really have for the entire season. To this point, they're now getting somewhat of a result. I mean, they just got a result versus a West Ham team. Obviously, it's not doing their greatest, but it's a result. For Nuno, he can't go up against what's getting you results at this point, and I think that makes it harder for Giovanni Reyna to find his way into the squad. But I don't think that if you were to ask Nuno straight up, hey, is Giovanni Reyna more talented than certain players that are starting? The answer is absolutely yes. But you don't want to mess with a formula that's getting you points and saving you from relegation at this point. Is that not what's going through Nuno's head? Is just don't fix what's not broken?
Yeah, that sounds like a reasonable hypothesis on the situation. And also, they know the system. Alanga's been there, and Hudson Odoi's been there for more time, so they know how to play it. They know what Morgan Gibbs White's going to give them. They know how to play off of Taiwo as a sole striker. So probably there's some of that. And Nick might be right. I mean, he insinuated a little bit that Gio Reyna has had some character issues in the past. I don't know if those are present currently because he's been there for so little of time, and I haven't heard anything. But maybe,
Oh,
maybe there's
Mike,
something there.
at what point flags either of you? I don't get like at what point do we start looking at Gio and be like, yes, he has all the talent in the world, but some of this has to be self-inflicted. I'm sorry. I think there's a lot of smoke, and usually where there's smoke, there's fire.
The thing
I
is,
understand Berhalter's a bozo. I get it, but Dortmund's a reputable club. Nuno's a reputable manager. How in the world is this a situation that our probably most talented player finds himself in? At what point do you start blaming and pointing the finger at Gio Reyna himself?
but I just don't know if you. I think it's if Gio Reyna were on the field and he was not showing what he is showing every time he's on the field, you would certainly say Gio Reyna is just not good enough. But that just I don't think is the case, and I don't think you can point to attitude or anything like that because Gio Reyna, yes, he is a fiery guy. He is something, and unless we're not seeing anything that is going on that's crazy in the training, he is just quite simply an amazing, talented player. Every time he gets on the field for both Dortmund and Nottingham Forest, he is showing his quality. So I have no worries from a U.S. men's national team's perspective on it. He's going to be insanely good no matter what, whenever he plays for us. But I want him to grow, certainly, by these playing times. I don't know if I blame it on him. I think it's tough to go to a relegation side and be such a huge shift in terms of style of play. Mike, is that how you see it? Or are you seeing it as personality?
Really quickly, I understand every single point you're saying. Mike, is Flags falling in love with talent a little bit too much because
His
it
talent is
doesn't need to be.
wild.
It
If you
doesn't
watch
need to
him play,
be. It doesn't need to be a. I understand that he's playing phenomenal. It doesn't need to be a big character issue. It could be simple things like not tracking back, not like whatever it is that he's not doing that the manager might be asking for. I think it's irresponsible to not point fingers at him.
Yeah. Um, I'm going to try to state this in the way that I understand it. Um, I won't go as far to say it's a personality thing because I have no basis, no data to say that it is because nothing's been said about that. And what I think it comes down to is when you're in these relegation zones, you could get stuck in your ways. You could get frightened of results and changing the team that it would impact you in a negative way. We see it at Everton. We see Big Dom not scoring goals, but still be chosen as the striker, match in, match out, because Sean Dyche knows what he's going to do and he knows what's going to be offered. It's going to be the game plan. He's going to challenge for balls in the air, and maybe Nuno's thinking the same way. He knows what Alonga's going to offer them. He knows what Hudson-Odoi is going to offer him. Maybe he's even aware that Gio Reyna's a bigger talent on the bench and has some flair, but he's not willing to mix up the rotation because he knows what's at stake, and there's probably pressure from the higher ups in the management. I think it's kind of similar to that Everton situation. I'll go back to it. I think Trimiti and I think Lewis Dobbin are bigger talents than what we have with Beto and Dom, but we don't see them because there is some hesitation to mix up the rotation just based on staying alive.
and Mike finds a way to make the U.S. men's national team about Everton. That is what he does best. But we'll transition into Everton to MLS, which is starting up, which I think all the headlines are around Inter Miami and their squad. They have to make some roster moves to make it even work. But Mike, do you see Inter Miami running this league? Do you see them winning? Or is Messi going to be worn down by what is a rather grueling MLS schedule of traveling across a extremely long distance for every game that is not normal for Europe and not normal for all these huge stars that are now coming in?
No, I do not see them running the league. The supporter shield is out of the question, in my opinion. With these older dudes that they're relying on, I don't think they're going to be able to get enough games out of them. They're not going to be able to gel quick enough and do it through this long ass season, especially with guys like Messi who are going to leave halfway through to go to Copa America, possibly even the Olympics. And maybe Luis Suarez will do the same thing. His situation with Uruguay is a little different. So, no, but I do think if they are able to secure a playoff position, which I think definitely in the cards, the tournament play for the MLS Cup will suit them better. Supporter Shield, no. MLS Cup, big maybe.
All right. And Nick, I turn to you for this one. It is, of course, Christian Pulisic. How can we do a U.S. men's national team talk without him? He comes on as a substitute for Milan, down 2-0. Assist Olivier Giroud with the first goal. An amazing banger with the left foot for the second goal to tie it up. And Milan still lose by 2 goals. 4-2 versus Monza. This is Monza's only time scoring 4 goals. This is Monza's only win versus a top half team in the Italian league. A lot of pressure has been put on Stefano Pioli to leave the job of Milan. Obviously, he's a big fan of Pulisic, has been starting him all up to this game, which was rotational, and obviously trusts him quite a bit. Do you think a firing of the manager at AC Milan is more of a detriment to Pulisic or a benefit where they might be performing better and he might be able to perform better as well?
Pulisic seems like a very manager dependent kind of player. We saw it at Chelsea. So Pioli has trusted him. He's allowed him to play in roles that have helped highlight his strengths. He is by far America's best player. I would like Pioli to stay there.
Mike, from a Milan perspective, I think people might be feeling a little bit different. They're not performing how you would think after the supermercado that they had, the wonderful summer market where they brought in Ruben Loftus-Cheek, where they brought in Christian Pulisic, where they brought in Semo Chukwueze and Noah Okafor, and all these wonderful players that have been playing so well. They just don't seem to be playing that great and getting disappointing results against Monza versus Udinese. Is it time for Pioli to go? And quite honestly, Pulisic at this point has been Milan's best overall player, I think you could make. Is it really down to manager, or do you think it's just a better environment for Christian Pulisic?
Definitely a better environment for Christian Pulisic. And for his sake, I'd like Pioli to stick around because there's that trust. And going to the side of Milan fans, they probably have a high expectation because they won the Scudetto last year. And that's a lot. That's huge. Or excuse me, 2 years ago, Napoli won it last year. They have high expectations. They're out of Champions League, but I think he's still done a fine job. They're not as good of a team as Inter is, and Juventus is a very strong side as well. They're 1 point off them. They're still in Champions League contention. They're still in Europa League contention. You definitely let them ride out the rest of the season, see where you finish. But from an outside perspective, I don't think I could expect them to perform much better than they are currently, especially with how good Inter Milan is.
Yep. I think regardless, Christian Pulisic will be coming into some very good form in March for the Nations League. A lot of other teams, or a lot of other players, will be making their case to make that team for Nations League, and certainly making their case for Copa America. Let us know who you think was making their case. Who do you think should be the manager for Milan if they do move on from Pioli? Who do you think would help out Pulisic the most? Who do you think we should focus on for the U.S. men's national team corner next week? Until then,
Not Mourinho.
not Mourinho. Listen, Mourinho would be an interesting choice for sure. But we will see you next time on Footy with the Boys. Peace.